Good afternoon and welcome to our first webinar of the year for standard drafters. The title of today's presentation is Document Exchange and Collaboration between TCs and CCMC. My name is Alicia Booth. I am an editor in the Publications Unit at CCMC, and I will be presenting today with my colleague Amy.
Hello everyone, I'm Amy Jane, and like Alicia, I've been an editor here at CCMC for a little over 6 months. So throughout the webinar, please do use the question and answer panel to interact with us. You can share your thoughts and experiences on anything we mention, and if there's time at the end, we'll be answering some of your questions. And as always, a recording of the webinar and the Q&A will be published online, and you can find that at the link shown.
So to begin, the main topics we will be discussing today are the editor's role in the development of European standards, the document exchange between CCMC and the technical bodies during development, and any areas of collaboration between CCMC and our customers, or those using or developing standards. I will now hand back to Amy, who will get us started on the first step in the process.
Okay, so to make things a little easier today, we'll be using this flowchart. So the first step in the development process, which we will discuss, is the delivery of your drafts to us here at CCMC and what happens to it when it reaches us. CCMC is the central hub for processing all incoming documents and circulating them at the stage of the development process. When you deliver a draft to us, it is known as a first delivery. Your draft is needed so that we can launch the inquiry, the formal vote and the UAP procedures, and finally publish. We are also responsible for updating the database, projects online, editing documents, managing translations and issuing drafts to members or our customers at each stage. So, what do you need to send? When you send us your completed draft for processing, we'll need the Word document, either in docx or doc format, PDF format, as well as a transmission notice, which is shown here. If your text is CEN only, we need any drawing files too, and these need to be in either .tiff or .eps format, 600 dpi, compression LZW, and size 100. If there's anything specific that you want to mention when sending us your drafts, let us know as soon as possible. For example, if you want to include an Excel spreadsheet for calculations, let us know so we can ensure that a file is attached at each stage. If you have any doubts or questions on what to do and what you need to send in, or on anything else to do with the procedure, then do get in touch. You can email us at production@CENELEC.eu, or alternatively contact your allocated editor, and we'll be more than happy to help. So, how to deliver a draft? For CEN work, you need to deliver your drafts to us via eTrans on LiveLink, which is effectively a document repository, where everything is stored. You can upload all of your documents in a zip file into the folder 111 First Delivery, and here's what that looks like. At 7 AM, all files are automatically downloaded into CCMC from eTrans, and when you upload your files, if anything is wrong with the upload, ISO will generate a warning and you will receive detailed, clear instructions on how to fix it. For example, if you upload 3 individual files rather than one zip file, you'll get an ISO warning. For CENELEC, however, you need to send us your files via email, and you can send them to production@CENELEC.eu.
Okay, so once the documents have been delivered to us, we will proceed to the next step in the process, which is CCMC in-check and work allocation. So every morning we check for incoming first deliveries, and this is when the CCMC clock starts ticking. If there is an issue with the files, for example, the figures are not included, or if any necessary information is missing from the transmission notice, we will get in touch with you. The first thing we will do during in-check is calculate the target dates for each step in the process, including deadlines for editing and translation, and the eventual launch and closing dates for the vote. We will then allocate your draft to an editor to process. These are our 6 in-depth editors, including myself and Amy. Allocation will be based on the availability and the current workload of each editor, with the general target for each editor being about 150 to 175 pages a week. In order to determine who would be best suited to a particular project, we use an internal work overview tool known as the dashboard. This is also how an editor monitors their own individual workload. So as you can see here, the dashboard shows the work item number, the reference number, the target dates, the number of pages of the document, as well as the in-check date, and lastly, the number of weeks that the text has been with us. It will also show publications that have been sent out for TC proofing prior to translation. All of this information will serve to help us to stick to our editing timeframes. So now once we have updated our database with the correct target dates, the very next day you will be able to find the information on projects online. Through projects, you can also see the allocated editor's name, the email, and the direct phone number in case you need to contact them with any questions. Okay, so now we'll move on to step 3, and Amy will talk a little bit about the CCMC editor's role.
So, the role of a CCMC editor. What is it that we do with your drafts? Our first priority as editors is of course editing the text at each stage and handling any comments at the formal vote and publication stages. We then create the XML version, which Alizia will discuss in a little moment. And we need to contact you if there are any problems with your draft at all stages as well. So what is editing? Let's look at the actual editing process. We apply the Internal Regulations Part 3, which are our rules to follow to make sure a standard is drafted correctly. We do have a new version of the Internal Regulations Part 3, and you can find any more information on this in our first 1010 webinar, which was held on the 10th of March 2017, which can be found on the CENELEC website on the page shown. For inquiries and formal vote, we style, format and edit in depth by changing as much of the text and formatting as is necessary in order for the document to comply with the internal regulations, including any technical changes. At publication stage, however, we don't make any technical changes and focus on editorial, mainly on the format of the document and how it looks. While doing this, we like to keep a high level of consistency, accuracy and attention to detail, and we aim to keep within the given time frame of our process. So as you can see here for February, we were able to do this perfectly.
As Amy mentioned, one of the important things that we do when editing is also to create an XML version of the standard. As you may already be aware, XML, or Extensible Markup Language, is like HTML, but it is used to store and transport data, while HTML is used to format and display the same data. And one of the great benefits of providing an additional XML version of the standard is that it allows our customers to access standards via different electronic platforms and devices, which of course allows for greater accessibility to European standards. So in order to create XML, we use a word-compatible tool known as Xstyles, which can also help us with our editing. In addition to color tagging the text and converting it to XML, Xstyles helps to clean up the document and it highlights problems within the text, such as invalid or outdated standard references, or incorrect cross-references, and sometimes also broken URLs. And sometimes the use of XML will require us to alter certain formatting or presentational elements of your draft, but without changing the content. For example, removing text boxes and auto shapes, or perhaps merging tables that have been split over several pages. If you have any questions about XML and how it may impact the drafting of your document, please do get in touch with us.
So at some point during the development procedure, we will need to contact you. At all stages, we will contact you if the Annex ZA for CEN or ZZ for CENELEC is incorrect. For example, if the generic Annex ZA or ZZ template has been used when in fact you need the eco-design template, we will contact you and ask you to provide us with the new one. Similarly, if your standard mentions patent rights and we haven't had the required form from CEN Guide 8, we will write to you and ask you to provide us with it. Before the vote stage, we will write to you if there are any technical inconsistencies which we won't be able to change later. At publication stage, we can't make any technical changes. If we do contact you regarding any of these problems, especially at the publication stage, then please note that we won't be able to publish until the issue is resolved.
Okay, and lastly, also regarding the editor's role, We want to remind you that we are always available to give support in the drafting process at any stage. This could be via a simple phone call or email, but also in meetings. Particularly if you are planning a meeting in the CENELEC Meeting Center in Brussels, the publications unit is just upstairs, and we would be happy to attend a meeting to give advice or answer any questions you may have on standards drafting or procedures. If you think this would interest you, please do get in touch. Okay, so this will take us to the next step in the development process, which involves the official languages of CENELEC standards and the translation procedure. So, these three official languages in which we publish European standards are English, French, and German. The TC is responsible for sending us a draft text in one reference language, which is typically English. CCMC will edit in this language and will then send the documents to DIN or DKE and AFNOR translation to provide the full text in French and German. After collaborating with both the TCs and translation departments, we will issue draft standards or inquiries and publications in the three languages. A recent change in the procedure is that DIN or DKE and AFNOR will by default no longer translate formal vote texts. If they decide to exceptionally translate a particular text, they will notify CCMC during the inquiry period, and we will make a note of this for you on projects online. So the time frames for translation are as shown. It's 8 weeks for inquiries, 6 weeks for formal votes if applicable, and 4 weeks for publications. Translation extensions are permitted depending on the length of the text, as shown here, and we will notify you if an extension is requested, as of course this will help with your project planning. If you already have translations of a text, do include them with your first delivery, as this can be helpful as the translators may decide to use this as a basis for their translation. And this brings us to the last step in our development flowchart, which is voting results and publication, which Amy will discuss.
Okay, so voting results and publication. So first, the voting results. How and when will you get them? CENELEC work, you'll receive them on Monday via an email notification. For CEN, it's within 24 hours of the closure of the vote, and the results are uploaded to eTrans. Comments will accompany the voting results in both cases. Once the ballot is closed and the outcome is made available, we cannot alter any of the results. Depending on the outcome of the inquiry, the formal vote can be skipped, and if you do decide to skip the formal vote, you must upload a transmission notice to eTrans for CEN-only work, or by email for CENELEC work to request CCMC to start to finalise the publication. And please do, if you decide to go to the formal vote, please use the same draft which we edited for inquiry. Don't create a new draft. So, handling voters' comments at publication stage. When we finalise the text for publication, we take care of any comments which have been made during the inquiry or formal vote stage. We take the text which has been used for formal vote, along with the comments template, if there are any comments at all. It's our job then to decide what is editorial, which we will change, and what is technical, which we can't change. When we've finished with the text, this is what some of our responses will look like. So as you can see here, we have technical changes are not allowed at this stage. Comment accepted, i.e. it has been implemented in the text, and we are happy to do that. Comment for AFNOR, or sometimes comment for DIN, or comment for DKE, which is just a comment for our translators. And TC please advise, and we'll say this if there is a comment which is particularly difficult. Usually whether the comment is correct or applicable or not, we will ask for advice on how or whether to implement it. And finally, the publication stage. For homegrown ENs, we edit the text but focus mainly on the presentational aspect of the document, i.e. we make it look good for the final publication. We then send a clean PDF file, the marked up document, which shows any changes that we have made, and the comments template with any responses shown earlier to the technical body secretary. They then have a 3-week period to proof the document, to read over it carefully, and then return the comments template to us with any response to any questions or problems that we might have raised. And please do feel free to add any additional comments that you feel are necessary to the template, and we will respond accordingly. And just a little question there, are you happy with the current method of proofing requests from the editor at publication stage? And do you have any suggestions on how we can improve this? So, a brief note on where you can find the documents that you need. A publication stage for CEN, and all stages in fact for CEN. All files are sent via the launch issue folder, which is folder 330 on eTrans. For CENELEC documents, all files will be sent via email. And for both CEN and CENELEC, all files can be found on projects online. And you just have to look for this Access to Current Documents button. Click that and you will have a download of all of your files. And again, just some questions that we would like to ask you. What are your experiences of using these tools? Do you have any suggestions on how we can improve your delivery of drafts to CCMC, and of course any other ideas that you have?
Okay, so that is the end of our webinar for today.